Mma, Mma, her mother shouted repeatedly into the cold moonlit night. The sound of grasshoppers echoed faintly in the distance. Usually, at that time, the children would gather in the center of the village, where there was an open space bathed in moonlight. They would sing native songs and play various games that children loved to play. Ngozi, I don't think Mma can hear you from here. It's better if you go there or send someone to fetch her. You know, I have told you to stop shouting her name at night. My late mother said it's bad luck. Nnamdi, Mma's father, would often say, but every time it seemed as if the information would never stick in Ngozi's head. It's not in my husband, but I have heard what you said, she would reply, though not convinced. As Ngozi walked on the path toward the village center, she kept calling Mma's name, hoping her daughter would run to her. Mma was just 8 years old, a beautiful little girl with long dark hair and big brown eyes. She loved playing with her friends, even though her mother had warned her several times not to stay at the village center at night. But Mma wouldn't listen. Mma, I think I heard your mother's voice. You should run to her before she gets here. You know what will happen if she does, Chidi, Mma's friend said. Reluctantly, Mma waved goodbye to her friends and grumbled as she made her way towards her mother's voice. Naughty girl, can't you tell it's late and time to go home? You always wait for me to come and get you. Silly girl, Ngozi scolded angrily. I am sorry, Mama. I was just having fun with my friends and lost track of time. I promise it won't happen again, Mma replied, apologetic as ever. Mma was quick to make promises to her mother, but even quicker to break them, as she never returned home willingly. This pattern continued until Mma became an apprentice in a clothing shop. One cold night, a loud hooting sound echoed outside their hut. Amadi woke up, his ears prickling at the eerie sound. He went outside to investigate and saw a large owl perched on a tree branch just outside their hut. As he stared at the owl, it stared back at him. A chill ran down his spine. Fear was unfamiliar to him, but at that moment it gripped him tightly. Goosebumps rising on his skin. He rushed back into the hut, but sleep eluded him until the early hours of the morning. Sleeping past the cockcrow was unusual for him, and even his wife asked why he had slept in when he should have been in the farm. He wanted to tell her about the owl, but decided against it. He didn't want to frighten her unnecessarily. It's nothing, my wife. Some days are just like that, he said, dismissing her concern. Mma was now a teenager. She no longer played as much as she used to, but she still sat with her friends at the village center, chatting about their days. Everyone had a job or skill to learn. However, each night, when the owl hooting was heard, something strange would happen. Mma's spirit would leave her body and only return by morning. This caused Mma to bedwet whenever she slept. No matter how hard anyone called or shook her after midnight, she wouldn't respond. Her parents didn't notice the problem until it was too late. At first, they thought she was too tired during the day and wouldn't have energy to wake up at night to wee. But now she was a teenager. They saw it as a serious issue that could affect her self-esteem or even her chances of marriage. Ngozi decided to start waking Mma at night to make her use the bathroom, but that was when they discovered the real problem. Mma, Mma, her mother would call, but there would be no response. Ngozi's eye widened in alarm, sleep vanishing from them. "Mma, Mma," she called louder, fear gripping her. "Nai," she cried. Amadi, who was a light sleeper, woke up almost immediately and rushed to his wife's side. "Obim, what is wrong?" he asked. "Nai, Mma isn't responding. I'm afraid she's dead," Ngozi sobbed. "No, this can't be," Amadi said. He shook Mma several times, but she didn't react. He put his hand under her nose. She was breathing, but barely. "Quickly, get me some water," Amadi instructed. Ngozi rushed to get a bucket of water. Amadi splashed some on Mma's face, but she remained unresponsive. "Ewo, Mma, what have happened to you, my child?" Ngozi cried out. "Calm down, she's still breathing. Let's wait and see what happens by morning," Amadi said, pulling his wife into an embrace as they comforted each other. They didn't sleep that night. At some point, their son, Nnamdi, woke up, oblivious to what was happening. At dawn, Mma finally woke up. "Mma, what happened to you?" Ngozi rushed to her side. "Mama, Papa, why are you both looking at me like that?" Mma asked, confused. "Mma, you were such in a deep sleep. We couldn't wake you. What's going on?" her father asked. "Papa, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I need to get ready for work," she said. Amadi and Ngozi were relieved to see their daughter awake, but they knew something was wrong and they intended to find out what it was. While Ngozi attended to the house chores, Amadi went to see the great native doctor of the village. He explained everything they had experienced the night before. The native doctor looked at him and said, "Amadi, this is strange. In all my years of spirituality, I have never seen or heard of anything like this. I am sorry to say, but I cannot help you." Amadi's heart sank in disappointment, but he was determined to find out what had happened to his daughter. He returned home and recounted the day's events to his wife, and their worries deepened. Omelora, the great native doctor, was known for his powers throughout the land, and now even he couldn't help them. Who would? They both thought. Night after night, the same thing happened. After they all hooted past midnight, Mma would appear as though she was dead. The couple lost sleep, unable to tell anyone for fear of gossip spreading through the village. Whatever was happening seemed to affect her parents more than Mma herself. Her only concern was why she kept bedwetting at night. Amadi eventually decided to seek help elsewhere. He traveled for 3 days until he reached a kingdom of Umudike, having heard of a renowned native doctor there. To his great disappointment, he found no help there as well. As he wandered aimlessly, he encountered an old woman who asked what he was searching for. "Help, Nne. I'm looking for help," he replied, dejected. "Follow me. Perhaps I can help," she said in a cracked voice. Amadi followed her, not expecting much. When they arrived at her hut, she offered him some water and bush meat. After eating, he thanked her and stood up to leave, but she stopped him. "I said, maybe I can help you with your problem," she said. "But Mama, you have already helped me. What more could I ask for?" he said. "I wasn't talking about food. Your problem is deeper than that. Sit down, my son, and tell me what you feel. We can only find solutions if we share our problems," she said. Amadi sat down and explained everything from the owl hooting to Mma's unresponsive sleep. The old woman listened quietly, then took a deep breath. "This is not new. I have heard tales of this from my late mother," she began. Amadi perked up at her words. She was the first person who seemed to know anything about his problem. She told him a story from over 100 years ago about a young hunter named Agunta, known for his exceptional hunting skills. At only 19, Agunta killed a lion that men twice his age could not. Some envied him, while others admired him. Unknown to the villagers, Agunta had met an old witch who gave him the power to transform into any animal, enabling him to hunt with ease. Men and women admired Agunta, and many families wanted to be related to him through marriage. Mothers shamelessly advertised their daughters to him as a good choice of wife, but in all these, Agunta found love in a special maiden. He was opportune to meet the beautiful Princess Adeze, whose beauty was unmeasured. It was like the gods took their time when creating her. She had a very beautiful face, big brown eyes, a slender figure, full chest, tiny waist, and full hips. For the men of the village, she was a physical example of a goddess. She was visiting her grandmother's hut, which was something she did once in a while, because her father the king would not allow her to go out whenever she wanted. Agunta was enchanted by her beauty. When their eyes met, his heart skipped a beat, which was something he had never felt for any maiden. It was love at first sight for the both of them, because Adeze too was enchanted by Agunta. Agunta vowed to win her hand in marriage. Since Agunta didn't know when Adeze would come out again, and he didn't want to scare her by visiting her in her room at the palace, he discreetly followed her to her grandmother's hut and watched from a distance. Hours passed before she finished with her visit. At that moment, Agunta transformed into a beautiful bird and flew towards her. Adeze was delighted, as it was the first time a bird had come so close to her. Soon, the bird started to walk away, and unknown to Adeze, she followed it, a radiant smile on her face. The bird led her to a place where trees and flowers grew, making it look so magical. Then suddenly the bird disappeared. Adeze searched everywhere but couldn't find it. Instead, she was met with the captivating eyes of the man she had seen earlier. She looked around nervously. She had never been alone with a man who wasn't her father or brother, and she felt a bit scared. "It's okay, I won't hurt you," came the smooth voice of the man. Adeze found herself lost in his gaze as a smile stretched across her face. She suddenly felt shy. Agunta extended his hand towards her, and together they walked to a nearby tree and sat down. He introduced himself, and Adeze, the princess, introduced herself in return. They talked as though they had known each other for ages. The princess knew her guards would be looking for her, but she didn't want to leave. She enjoyed Agunta's company immensely. The entire scene felt magical, like something out of a fairy tale. If anyone had painted a picture of them, it would be called enchanted love. Before the night ended, they shared their first kiss and they wanted more. They were both drunk in love. "I will come tomorrow to ask for your hand in marriage," Agunta said. Adeze was surprised and couldn't wait to spend the rest of her life with him, although they had only just met. She trusted him completely and felt safe in his presence, but her face soon fell. My father would never allow it. He always wanted me to marry a rich king so he can boast to his friends about having a wealthy son-in-law, she said. It's okay. I will come. I will do anything to have you. Your father might change his mind after meeting me, Agunta reassured her. After some time, he led her out of the forest and gave her a goodnight kiss. Adaeze blushed. Her smile wild, but quickly faded when she saw the number of bodyguards searching for her. My princess, where have you been? We have been searching everywhere for you, one of the guards asked. It's okay, Chugudi. I lost my way in the bush, but I'm here now, she said, trying to act normal. What were you doing in the bush? She asked. No more questions. Let's head back, she said. As they walked back, Adaeze felt eyes on her and she knew whose eyes they were. It made her feel things she had never felt before. When they reached the palace, the king called for her. I heard you went missing. Where did you go? He asked, his gaze piercing. Father, I just lost my way, she replied. Lost your way? What were you looking for in the bush? He asked firmly, but Adaeze remained silent. After a moment, the king warned her never to go anywhere without her guards. That night, as Adaeze lay in bed, her mind drifted towards Agunta. He was everything she had ever wanted in a man. His words were like milk and honey, soothing her insides. His touch ignited a fire within her. She had always been a reserved woman, but now she couldn't wait to experience the things her mother had taught her with Agunta. Thoughts of him swirled in her mind, and she soon fell asleep, hoping he would fill her dreams as well. On the other hand, Agunta was equally enchanted. He couldn't wait for the next day to come. At dawn, he washed up and dressed in his most expensive clothes, carrying gifts as he made his way to the king's palace. On arrival, the king's guards asked him to wait while they informed the king of his visit. After receiving permission, they allowed him to enter. Igwe Igadio, Agunta greeted respectfully. You may rise, the king said. What brings you to my palace? Before I explain, I would like to present these gifts to you, my king, Agunta said. He presented 2 lion skins and elephant tusks. Wow, these are rare. Even as a king, I don't possess such things, the king thought to himself. My king, I am here to ask for Princess Adaeze's hand in marriage, Agunta said. The king looked at him strangely and asked, Are you a king or perhaps a prince? No, my king. I am a son of the neighboring kingdom and a great hunter. People call me Agunta the Great, for I am the only man to have killed a lion in the whole of the 7 kingdoms in our land, he said. Listen to him bragging in my presence, the king thought. Well, my daughter will not marry a commoner. She will only marry a rich king, he said calmly. I'm sorry, my king, but I am willing to do anything for her. I will ensure she never lacks, Agunta said passionately. No, the king thundered. I will never allow my daughter to marry a commoner. If that's all, please leave, he said, dismissing Agunta. Agunta was left speechless. He departed the palace with a heavy heart, but he knew he couldn't give up Adaeze. Adaeze had overheard her father's conversation with Agunta because she had been eavesdropping. As soon as Agunta left, she hurried through the back, hoping to catch up with him. She ran until she saw his back. Agunta, she called out. He turned, a huge smile spreading across his face. She ran into his arms and they hugged, expressing their love without words. Aguntalu took her to his hut, where they spent the entire day together. When she returned that evening, the king was not pleased. "Where have you been, Adeze?" he asked, his voice dripping with anger. "I went to my mother's grave," she said confidently. "Oh, okay. Next time, please inform someone when you are leaving, so I won't worry about your whereabouts," the king said before leaving. The king saw Adeze as a tool to acquire more power, nothing more. As the days went by, Adeze met with Agunta a few times a week, her lies becoming so smooth that her father easily believed whenever she told him. A few months into their relationship, Adeze gave her purity to Agunta, and their night of passion led to pregnancy. When Adeze told Agunta, he was overjoyed. They both planned to flee the village a week later, but unfortunately, the king found out. "Mama, where is all this leading to? You haven't said anything that concerns my daughter's problem," Nnamdi asked. "Patience, my son," Nne replied. The king also found out about the pregnancy. He was beyond